Total Drama, The Ridonculous Race, the 6th and final Total Drama season. If you've been keeping up with the Total Drama week listing so far, then you'll notice that the only pedestal left open is the second place pedestal. And we'll get to why that spot has been left open for this particular series. But first, it's worth mentioning that this isn't technically a part of the Total Drama seasons. The Ridonculous Race is a spin-off show that takes place in the world of Total Drama, and it even features the 4 returning characters, including one from the very forgotten Pakitu Island season. I'll start off by saying that I had absolutely no expectations for this series. Total Drama Return to the Island was a complete and utter disappointment. Total Drama All-Stars was terrible beyond belief, and Total Drama Pakitu Island was bland and forgettable. For years, this series dropping significantly in quality, so when the Ridonculous Race was announced, I had no hope for it. Against my better judgment, I decided to watch the first few episodes, and thankfully I did, as this season completely blew me away. Granted, that was due to the absurdly low expectations I had for it, but this season felt like the return to form I had been wanting for so long. This season introduces 32 brand new contestants, a new setup, and a brand new host. There's also the 4 returning characters, but we'll get to them later. The show is centered around 8 teams of 2 pairs, who have to race across through a variety of locations across the world, with those who finish last in each location being eliminated. The premise of this season is very similar to World Tour, especially since World Tour had a ton of race-themed challenges. However, I find the challenges in the Ridonculous Race to be better implemented since it's 18 teams of 2 racing to the goal and not 2 teams of around 10 people. The reason this matters is that where the Ridonculous Race shines, where past seasons have failed, is in its characters. The new characters aren't as good as the Season 1 contestants, but the characters are developed here far better than they have been since Season 2 and onward. Thanks to the smaller teams, we get a nice focus on just about every pairing. And while they do start out as bare, basic characters, as the teams shrink down, the remaining characters get more developed. And even though there aren't any slow-moving character-building episodes like Season 1 had, they still managed to find a nice balance in this season. Bear with me. The biggest proof of this is with the return of previous characters, one of which is Noah, who had almost no impact at all during the first 3 seasons. He was a loner character who didn't like working with others, so he'd always been kicked from the show very easily. This time around, he gets paired up with a series veteran, Owen, and both of them make a pretty decent team actually. For the first time in the series, we get to see Noah actually get invested in the show he's in, and we get to see his character evolve as the show progresses. The second veteran to note is Jeff, a character that has had a weird character arc through the series. Ever since Season 2 of the show, Jeff had been running a sideshow commenting on the other seasons, and in that show, he's progressively become more and more of a jerk, with his personality being almost completely unrecognizable from when he was in Season 1. And starting with this season, Jeff reverts back to his fun-loving character from Season 1, which is far for the better. I will say, this is the first Total Drama season since the first 2 that had me actually invested in who was going to win. My vote was for the Goth team, which I was really rooting for them to win. The only 2 characters that I couldn't stand in the show was the buddy cop duo. I hated them, and I was begging since episode 1 for them to be kicked off the show. And though since Cameron and Lightning didn't make me favorite Season 4 and higher than I did, I won't let these 2 characters make me love this season any less. One problem that people had when this show was announced was the showrunner Chris being replaced. Chris was one of the best parts of previous seasons, though the new showrunner this season isn't too bad. While he doesn't interact with the contestants as much as Chris did, he does have some good moments. Though, for most of the show, he just kind of keeps to himself, which isn't entirely a bad thing. He isn't great, but he just isn't bad either. Honestly, overall, I believe that this season is one of the best that Total Drama has put out in a while. While you can argue that the characters not being as good as the original trilogy seasons, I feel that this season is written so much better than previous seasons. And for that reason alone, I will gladly be placing Total Drama Presents the Ridonculous Race on the second podium. And with that, Total Drama Week comes to a grand end. It has been fun looking back at these shows, and I know I missed one very special show in the series, but I'm not counting that as canon season of the Total Drama series, so if you want me to review that show, you can always show some support by subscribing and let me know in the comments below. Your support is always appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed Total Drama Week. These 3 years making reviews for you has honestly been really great, and I welcome any newcomers with open arms. So be sure to stay tuned for more reviews in the future, And I'll see you guys in the next video.